Welcome to Shares Who, your time spot for politics. And my role in bringing great content on current events requires you and your great role in liking and commenting on this YouTube video and subscribing to this YouTube channel. Be sure to do that, and I'll point out that which gets this show going, starting with, of course, Farley Perkins over at the Farley Perkins Agency will help you out with many insurance needs as long as you reach out to 757-271-6655. Let's say you're in the mood for some sweet treats like a shake or some ice cream. ELG Sweet Boutique is where to go at 340 High Street in Portsmouth for all that. What if you just want some excellent food? Well, then you're going to have to go to Ellen's Homestyle and Barbecue Express, either here in Portsmouth Boulevard in Portsmouth or Indian River Road in Virginia Beach across from Regent University. If you need any help with some financial issues, some consulting, maybe some great entertainment like DJing, hit up Mr. Seiko Varner at Positive Vibes Incorporated and also his application, the Hampton Roads Green Book, which is a great app to find great Black-owned businesses in Hampton Roads. There's also the Black Swan Mindset, part of the Chronicles, which is subdivision here of Shares Who's channel. So look for those shows done by my awesome wife, Andrea Dixon, Shez Venner, and of course, Shez Who with some custom merch that we're going to be bringing out soon. So look at Shez Who's merch on Etsy right there. So think back to 2016, 2020, 2024. Think back to when Donald Trump would so easily say things like crooked Hillary, lock her up, or the Biden crime family, really putting the emphasis on little old him fighting corruption, fighting criminality. It really sunk deep into the minds of the MAGA folks. They internalized it, as movies like that tend to go. Remember the biggest markers to a cult? Absolute authoritarianism, zero accountability at the top, no tolerance for criticism. That plays in here too. Think back to 2024's cases against Trump, when he was tried by New York for business fraud, convicted on all counts, no penalties. Federal indictment in Florida on mishandling classified information, case dismissed. He did it, but there was no accountability. Federal indictment in D.C. on 2020 election interference, case dismissed. He did it, but no accountability. Georgia's RICO case against Trump for election interference, still ongoing as yet, no accountability. So, Trump's seen doing criminal activity, yet here we are. And that's not the end of his corruption. As the days go on, they just sort of stack up. Recall in his recent trip to the Middle East, he visited nations where he has business ties with. They're invested in opportunities to enrich his real estate interest in the area, personally enriching him. They've invested in his golf courses, especially holding live golf tour events, which has funneled hundreds of millions to Trump. There's also Trump's interest in cryptocurrency, which on one end has him easing regulations on crypto, and on the other end includes those same Middle East nations and others investing in his cryptos. Watchdog groups like congressional Democrats and some Republicans, but only some Republicans, have leveled a firestorm of criticism at Trump for hawking his own meme coin, $Trump, a novelty crypto token with no inherent value. And he's hawking it by personally hosting a May 22nd dinner at his Virginia Golf Club for the 220 largest buyers of the Trump coin and a private reception for the 25 biggest buyers. To attend those events, the Trump buyers spend about $148 million, which will benefit Trump and the partners, according to the crypto firm Inca Digital. Further, the Trump family crypto venture World Liberty Financial that launched last fall, which his two older sons have promoted hard, was tapped this month to play a key part in a $2 billion investment by an Abu Dhabi financial fund in the crypto exchange Binance, which in 2023 pleaded guilty to U.S. money laundering and other violations. The new WLF deal was announced at an Abu Dhabi crypto conference that drew Eric Trump 2 weeks before Trump's mid-May visit to the United Arab Emirates capital, sparking other concerns of improper foreign influence and ethical issues. Trump's ardent pursuit of crypto fortunes was highlighted in a report last month from the watchdog group State Democracy Defenders Fund that estimates his crypto ventures as of mid-March to be worth about $2.9 billion. That is a striking sum, since Trump's crypto ventures are less than a year old. Then there's the $400 million gilded-out Qatari jet Trump accepted in order to be a future Air Force One. Several things to think about there. It's a Boeing jet. The U.S. already uses Boeings for Air Force One. The U.S. is already in the midst of having Boeing build new Air Force Ones. In order to use this gift jet, it will take 3 to 4 years of a retrofit by government authorities to make it even acceptable to be used as an Air Force One. It would be usable after Trump finishes his second term, his last term by constitutional standards. And then it would go straight to Trump's presidential library. It serves no purpose to Trump during his presidency, this gift. And then it's just fodder for his library. This is outright brazen corruption. Let me read you information on the Emoluments Clause. Article 1, Section 9, Clause 8, and Article 2, Section 1, Clause 7. Combined, they're designed to prevent both foreign and domestic corruption of government officials by limiting the benefits they can receive. Specifically, the Foreign Emoluments Clause restricts officials from accepting gifts, emoluments, offices, or titles from foreign governments without the consent of Congress, while the Domestic Emoluments Clause prohibits the president from receiving compensation other than his salary from the United States. All right, so lock that definition of the Emoluments Clause into your heads. Now, think back to when congressional Republicans and Trump were making loud claims about a Biden crime family and opening possible impeachment inquiries into Biden over family business dealings. Some 20 million plus was alleged to be paid to the Bidens from international sources. And that stirred up the Trump and Republican base. They saw Biden corruption there. They wanted to inflame the public into talking about it and doing things about it. Nothing to today. Listen outside to those crickets. Those crickets are the sound fillers to Republican silence on blatant Trump corruption. And it wasn't like when some trotted out a defense for when Trump fraudulently ran his businesses in New York. You saw those on CNN, as if it was okay to do so. This is the silence of rank hypocrisy. As we see the Trump family, dare we say the Trump crime family? They enriched themselves not in the tens of millions, but in the billions on various real estate, crypto, and golf interests, gifts, etc. And we think now to how harsh Trump and his government are being on migrants, sending even legal citizen children out of the country, many innocent people straight to international gulags, all with the premise that these are horrible criminals. Yet Trump remains here getting so rich off his corruption that it's obscene. And he's exchanging influence for wealth to do so. And he's even pardoning outright criminals. We saw what he did pardoning thousands of January 6 participants. That was early on. He's still pardoning them. He's pardoned 9, count them, 9 GOP members of Congress. Chris Collins of New York, insider trading. Duncan Hunter of California, campaign corruption. Steve Stockman of Texas, campaign corruption. Rick Renzi from Arizona, corruption. Robin Hayes of North Carolina, lying to the FBI. Mark Seljander of Michigan, obstruction and lying. Duke Cunningham of California, bribery. Michael Grimm of New York, tax evasion. John Rowland of Connecticut, corruption. He's pardoned Republican criminals of the private sector too. Take Paul Walzak. He was sentenced to 18 months in prison, 2 years of supervised release, in order to pay $4.4 million in restitution to the United States for willfully failing to pay overemployment taxes and willfully failing to file individual income tax returns. He bought yachts with that money. He traveled and had upscale shopping with that money. Paul filed for a pardon around Election Day, and he wasn't having good luck. Then his mom went to a candlelight fundraiser at Mar-a-Lago. It was hosted by MAGA Inc., a super PAC able to raise unlimited money for Trump. It cost $1 million to attend the dinner. And here we go. Paul gets pardoned by Donald Trump. That pardon not only gets him out of jail, it waives the $4 million plus in restitution payments. It's ironic that the judge who sentenced Paul justified the incarceration by declaring that there isn't a get out of jail free card for the rich. We'll look at our 34 times convicted felon, President Trump. He's the president, gaining billions from corrupt bribes. Paul's out free after a nice motherly donation to Trump PAC. Think back to the USA Network and that catchy show Chris Lee knows best. That family boosted their reality show bona fides by coming off as self-made real estate tycoons. It turns out they funded their lifestyle by fraudulent means. They were convicted of defrauding community banks in Atlanta to the tune of over $30 million. They also skipped taxes over 5 times from 2013 to 2022 during their show's tenure. When convicted, they were sentenced to 12 and 7 years in federal prison, respectively. The family would go on to claim that they were targeted due to being conservative. The oldest daughter became a critic of the justice system and even spoke out at the Republican National Convention in July, calling her parents victims of political persecution. She had lunch at the White House this past February. Trump pardoned them this week. He also pardoned Scott Jennings. Scott was a sheriff from Culpeper County, good old Trump country in Virginia. Scott was convicted last December in taking over $75,000 in bribes as a sheriff. This was in exchange for making several businessmen into law enforcement officials without their being trained. Scott, a longtime Trump supporter, was sentenced just 2 months ago to 10 years in prison. He was set to report to jail on Tuesday. The pardon means Scott never sets foot in prison. Trump here is reveling in this lack of accountability, the ideal of it. He has pardoned so many of his political supporters, violent ones like from January 6th, fraudulent ones similar to himself, who've done years of white-collar financial crime. So once again, think back to all those election cycles. Think back to Trump saying everyone he was running against was criminal. Think back to all the times he says he's sending money so people out of the country to jails because they're criminal, when their only issue was just not being a citizen. Think back to all the times he and his supporters felt deep in their heart that Biden's family was criminally corrupt. Think back to all the times they yelled law and order and now realize they're full of shit. Treat the movement as such and get focused on being anti-Trump. Thanks again for watching, Shez Who. And thanks to the viewers for making a show like this possible. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel so you may tune in for the next Shez Who. Don't forget to hop by Etsy/shop/Shez Who merch. I hope you guys have a good one, and we'll catch you on the next Shez Who.